Hello, just Gem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. I had wanted to film this in the morning because this is a new brand to me, and recently what I've started doing is longevity tests when I do new brands. But I had a really early start with work this morning and I couldn't face basically getting up extra early to film before work to be ready in time for the meeting that I had first thing this morning. It really should be criminal to put meetings in at that time of day. The only reason it was remotely acceptable is because it was with colleagues in a different time zone. So I'll let it slide. So yeah, no longevity test, unfortunately. But I will maybe I'll come back and I'll pin a comment later because I will do a longevity test at some point. The palette in question today, so I'm kind of whittling through all the palettes that I picked up in 2024 that I haven't got round to featuring on my channel. So this one scraped in right at the very end. So it's Molten Metals by the GlossGods. And I want to say, are they Swedish? I think these guys are Swedish. I think they're Swedish. That's what it looks like on the inside. And what drew me to this was the shimmers, and when you see the swatches I think you will understand why I was drawn to this palette and why the shimmers really got me. They really did. Plus they had a sale. I'm trying to think how much I ended up paying for this. I think I might have said in the new makeup releases where I discussed this that if it would be an if money when no object thing, but it went down to a ridiculous amount. I think it was already 50% off and then they reduced it by a further 50% or something ridiculous like that. Whatever it was a steal, and I thought to myself, for the shimmers alone the price would be more than worth it, so I caved and I bought it. And now we're going to stick these shades on my eyelids, and I'm thinking, which shades do I want to use? Perhaps while I ponder the shades you can take a look at the swatches, and hopefully by the time we come back around to me I will be ready with some ideas. Here are the 10 shades from the GlossGods Molten Metal palette swatched out. It's 5 mattes, 5 shimmers. I mean, I've only done the swatches so far, but I'm pretty impressed with the formula. I'll see if I can demonstrate it when I'm filming properly. But this is the kind of shimmer formula where if you kind of put one swipe, like you just kind of swipe once in the pan, you could drag it the entire length of your arm. That's how it felt to me. And then I almost, swatching these, I felt like I was wasting product almost. But then having said that, a little goes a long way. I'm excited about these shimmers. Definitely excited. So while there's no sort of like multi-chromes and bells and whistles in that sense, it's a very intriguing formula. At first I was a bit annoyed that that's not a straight up black, it's got blue undertones to it, but then it makes sense with this shade called Steel right here. They go together, and I like how there's a gradient and there's depth in there. That's the lightest shade, which we now know I will quite happily use as an inner corner highlight. Excited to create some looks. So that's just the light running across the shimmers there. Impressive swatches, definitely. I think I have formulated a plan, but first of all I'm going to prime. And if I'm using a GlossGods eyeshadow palette, clearly I'm going to have to use the GlossGods eyeshadow primer that I picked up at the same time, which I have been enjoying, and I'm hoping, seeing as they're from the same brand, that they're formulated to work together particularly well. You'd think that that would be the case. I know how I want to go with the shimmers, as much as I want to stick copper on my lids, which is this middle shimmer here, I'm actually going to focus on the outer shimmers. So I think that platinum and steel would pair very nicely, as would brass and bronze. So I'm going to do a look combining them, and then I'll just figure out the mattes. I don't think I can really go wrong with any of the combinations, to be honest. That's kind of one of the selling points of this palette, just from looking at the colour story. I'm picking up my Refa number 15. I might do these two on the end with the silvery combo, and these two with the bronzy brass combo. I think that could work. So let's try that. Let's do the bronzy brass combo. So we're starting with matte. Mind you, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this on my skin tone, because even when I swatched this, it kind of blended into my skin there. I think you can just about see that. Actually, I probably should have put antiqued and then deepened up with this. Oops. Can we go backwards? I think that's definitely lightened it up a bit. These are they were quite creamy to swatch, but there's still a fair bit of kick up in the pan with these, which is interesting. They don't feel like the kind of shadows that would have kick up in this way. I've like fully mishmashed matte and antiqued there. Let me pick up maybe a 14 and then we'll go back in with matte. I mean, who am I kidding? It's going to be all about the shimmer shades, really. But these mattes are quite nice, to be fair. So that's a nice bonus. I might have to dip into polished just to add a bit of something in the outer V. They're very close to my skin tone. Shall I zoom you in? Don't know how I've got glitter there. Yeah, they're just very close to my skin tone, so I just don't know how well you can see this on my eyes. I've just gone into the deepest shade, which is polished, just because I was curious. It's a very cool tone shade. I mean, they're all cool leaning, all the mattes in here. Even the browns are more cool toned browns. I don't think I need a NYX glitter primer for these. I think these are going to hold up and perform just fine without a NYX glitter primer. I suspect if I use a NYX glitter primer, satellites owned by NASA would be able to spot me. That's how intense I think things would be if I went down that route. So I'm going to not use one today. Can you see that? So that's the shade bronze. I'm going to put that. Let's try not to cover up my entire face. Put that. You see what I mean there? That's pretty intense. Can you imagine if I'd use a NYX glitter primer? That would be full on. Now we're going into brass on my little finger. Can you see brass there? It's a bit chunky, but then it's chunky when you pick up too much. Can you see that? It's like the sparkle is on crack. This might be the best £12.50 I've ever spent on a group of eyeshadows. That's insane. Yeah, I think a NYX glitter primer would have been too much, dare I say it. I do very much like these together, I have to say. That's pretty impressive. Should I put NYX on the other side, just out of curiosity? That's a lot. That's a lot. What would I do on the under eye here? I'm not sure. I'll have a think about the under eye and we'll come back. That was my Refa 15 I used, so maybe I'll use my Refa number 1. Right, so I think I said brushed and polished on this side. Let's see how this looks. That's pretty intense. That's quite deep. A little goes a long way. I think if I'd known how pigmented that was going to be, I'd have gone in more lightly. Refa 13 again. No, 14, that's what I want. We're going into polished now. Let's see how much this deepens things up. That's hella smoky. And because I'm curious, we're getting the NYX primer involved. So just a thin little layer. Let's see how this goes. And we're doing steel and platinum on this side. So let's do steel. I've gone in far too heavy-handed on that. I didn't need anywhere near that much product. See what I mean? Yeah, I didn't need anywhere near that much. That's intense. Right, now platinum. I'm being very careful here. I've just dabbed a little bit. These might be a bit too close. Yeah, I think they're too close. Maybe I should have used a different one. I thought they'd be complementary, but they're too close to see a difference. I don't know if you can see the difference. No, see, even there they look similar. But that's madness. Whew. Shimmer's on crack. I'm going to tidy this up. I'll probably just do the mattes that I did on either side as my under eye. But I'm going to tidy everything up and I'm going to come back with a finished face and let you know what I think of this Molten Metals palette by GlossGods Cosmetics. Back shortly. I've zoomed you in so you can see the finished look. As I said, I think I used the same shades that I used above, below. So on this eye I've used polished and I've softened it ever so slightly with brushed, and on this side I've used, I think, just brushed. It also looks quite deep. And then for the inner corner I've used satin on both sides, but obviously it works much better on this much cooler tone side than it does on this eye. But I didn't want to mess about with putting anything else as an inner corner. Perhaps I could have used platinum on this side, but I've used platinum here. I have finished off. How have I finished off today? The usual combo for my eyes: Rimmel Thrill Seeker Clinique eyeliner. For blush today, I've actually gone in with this Buttermelt bronzer. in the shade Butter Day. So this is the second to last bronzer shade, and I've used that as a blush today. And I felt like doing something, I mean, I know I have done this lip fairly recently, but I have been doing a lot of pink, like I've been going to that modern lip blur by Say, so I wanted to do something slightly different, and I've used Natasha Denona I Need a Nude in Lala 6B. So that's what that looks like. And then again, nothing new, the 89 Fine lip liner there. And I think that's it. And then my bronzer, which I've put away again, which I always put away. I do feel like I have galloped through that, and I think that's because when I did the swatches, while I was actually impressed with the mattes, the shimmers were just so beautiful, I wanted to get them on my face, basically. The shimmers in here, let me see if I can demonstrate to you what I mean. We've not had a chance to show off copper, so we'll show off copper. So I've swiped in the pan a little bit. Excuse if my arm is a bit on the dry side, but let's just see how far down I can go. Do you see what I mean? Look at, that's insane. And that's what I mean about the shimmers in this formula, just to give you an idea of how intense they are and how, yeah. So that's copper that I've just swiped, and it's just gone all the way down my arm as I had predicted it would. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Really, if you're getting a palette like this, you're not buying it for the mattes. I didn't buy it for the mattes. I quite clearly bought it for this bottom row here. And on the sale price that it was on, it's an absolute bargain. I don't know if these are magnetic, the pans in here. They do look like they might be, but I haven't picked up one of those nifty magnet scoopy thingies. I'll grab one off Amazon because I will be picking up 1 or 2 palettes I think going forward that are magnetic, so it might be nice to just experiment with mixing shades about. The mattes in here are nice. It's funny, many years ago I read a review of Pirates of the Caribbean where Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom were referred to as merely planks for Johnny Depp to walk across. And I kind of feel like that's what these mattes are in this palette. Don't get me wrong, they're very sturdy planks. Very, very sturdy planks. And they do give you a nice base to be able to then go into these shimmers and, quite frankly, let them shine. This side's obviously my favourite. It's got that blue tone to it, and I have used the exceptionally cool toned shades in here. I mean, they're all cool leaning, but apart from copper, which is quite fiery, this is just, I think this is my favourite eye. This is my favourite eye. What's your favourite eye? And yes, steel and platinum, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have put them together. Maybe next time I'll mix like brass and copper. They'd look nice, and even copper and bronze. See, that's going to be the fun, actually, combining the different shimmers on your lid just to see what kind of effect you would get. So that's brass there. Yeah, see, they'd look stunning. I mean, I've gone over most of brass there, but I think you can see there how nice they'd both look on the lid. Ooh, I wish I'd done that now. There's bronze. And there's copper. Not as, more subtle, but even that might look nice. I definitely want to try that combo. The mattes are perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. In fact, they're probably better than mattes in some standard palettes, to be perfectly honest. A nice blend. I did mess up with this eye. It's funny because when I started filming this, I was feeling really sort of tired and deflated, and the minute I've put some makeup on my face, suddenly I feel 10 times more alert and generally better. So I apologise for the slump at the beginning of the video if you spotted there was one. I feel much better now, but I think I did have a bit of a lapse in concentration, and the base for this eye was not as good, but it's still fine. That's the thing sometimes with shimmers as well, and I found this in the undergrowth video I recently filmed when I did another look with that palette. Sometimes you put your mattes down and you're not convinced, but then you cover up all of the messiness with some lovely shimmers and it's all good anyway. When you've got shimmers like this, I think it's quite hard to go wrong, to be honest. Hard to go wrong. If you can pick this up in a sale like I did, £12.50, that's a bargain. Absolute bargain. Part of me almost feels like I've robbed the GlossGods. Absolute steal. I wonder why they reduced it so much, especially so soon after release. Maybe it wasn't selling well, I don't know. To be fair, I wouldn't have picked it up if it hadn't have dropped in price quite so much. Would I say it's worth the original price? Quite possibly. It's a nice palette. It's not an earth-shattering colour story. It isn't. It's a neutral colour story, but those shimmers are something else. They really are. I will report back. I will do a wear test at some point. I don't know when I'll have the chance to do that now. It might be a while. That will be the ultimate test. I'm impressed just with this, how it is at the moment, but seeing how long they last on the eyes will be the next thing. Actually, I'm in the office next week. I'll do a wear test then, which will probably be complete by the time I upload this, because I don't know when I'll be uploading this. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Wear test next week. I'm going to stop now. Apologies, I feel like I was a bit all over the place in this video, but I've found my rhythm now, which is good, because I'm going to film another one now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload going forward. Hopefully, I'll see you again in a video in a not too distant future. Take care. Bye! Conscious that I'm not doing a longevity test on this GlossGods palette. I've had this on, let's call it maybe 2 hours now, because I've finished filming this and then I filmed another video. So this is how it's looking after approximately 2 hours. So I don't hold out much hope for a lot of longevity, but this is just a few hours. And I mean, to be fair, this is my creasy lid, which, I mean, shadows these days don't seem to stand a chance on this eye. So it's not bad, but if this is it after 2 hours, I'm curious what it would be like after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I'm doing an office day and I do a longevity test then, I'll probably have it on from 8 in the morning till at least 6. So that's a good test. So yeah, I'll be back. Please excuse the terrible yellow hueish light. I'm doing a quick check-in before I wash my face. I want to say it's after 11 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's about 11:30 at the moment. And this is how we're looking. I'm just going to close my eyes. I mean, now I can't see what you can see. But just to show you how these shadows are looking. So if we do one eye at a time, you can see like it's a creasing right there, bit of gapping where it's kind of rubbed away. And then this is my creasy eye. I think we know my creasy eye now, so it's just much worse on there. No glitter fallout though. I was thinking I'd have, because sometimes it likes to collect. I mean, there's a tiny little bit, but not as much as I had anticipated that there might be, actually. So yeah, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. I don't know, you let me know what you think when it comes to longevity, if you think this is acceptable from being on from 8 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. So that's 12, 15 hours I've had this on. That's quite a wear test. That's quite a wear test. But yeah, it's coming off now because I'm tired and want to go to bed. There you go. 100% sturdy blanks. Don't get me wrong, these are very sturdy blanks. I keep saying blanks. Why am I saying blanks? Don't get me wrong, these are very, very sturdy planks. And they do give